Did your film race fail? It's because you had a gunshot fade to black. Cut that out, your film will be great. To be fair, we're gonna take it back to our first film race, which was called Memories of a Job. It was the 48-hour film fest in Georgia. And we drove up from Orlando, Florida to, we were at film school at the time at Full Sail, and we drove up to Atlanta to participate. And it is not a good movie. It's not a disaster. We did finish, but some things that went wrong on that one.
Got out of class, drove through the night. I remember arriving, I drove the entire way, so it was about an 8-hour drive. And we got there and we couldn't check into our hotel room till later. So
We went to the kickoff.
We kind of hung out, went to the kickoff. I was like falling asleep at the lunch table.
And our plan was to, because we were all poor college students, we rented one hotel room, and that was where we were going to sleep and set our film.
And edit and...
So the level of like clutter and claustrophobia and just, it was not a very peaceful space to, there was no place to step away.
And there were 6 of us sharing 2 beds.
We got the film completed, but just like, we just picked the wrong kind of movie to make. We got mystery. Let's do like, it wasn't like mob, but it was like gangster. It was like we'll be gangsters. We'll wear a trench coat, a secret package, like handoffs. She looked so scary and tough in her Penn State sweatshirt. We didn't have a really good editing plan in place.
Our editing plan was to just like take turns.
Yes, our plan was to take turns. And when my turn was done and I was tagging Robin to edit, he sat for 2 minutes, stared at the screen and said, "I'm too tired," and went back to bed. The shifts got all muddled and stuff. Memories of a Job was a failure because it was the wrong kind of movie to make. It was pretty terribly written, terribly acted because we were all in it. We didn't have a good home base or it was basically, we had a computer and a camera and some filmmakers to act in it. So we did complete it, but it's not one that we are very proud of. Good memories, I guess. PhotoJenic was a moment in theater where we were like, oh, this is so emotional because we'll have an urn full of ashes and it'll be so sad for people. And the whole theater was like erupting in laughter. And it would be really easy for us to have been like, cross our arms and just scowl like they don't understand our art. But we were all just like laughing as well because we realized, oh wow, we really missed it on this one. We didn't earn their trust in the story to buy on board. So we just walked away from that saying like, okay, if we're gonna try and do something serious, we have to make it stick.
You could also see like even on set, if you look at the behind the scenes when he's dumping the ashes out of the urn,
he's trying not to laugh.
Like you could tell that it was
should have been a red flag.
Cheesy. It was cheesy. It was too much cheese. So try and stay. I think one of the things we did was we got away from the tropes. PhotoJenic was only our second one we had done. Like It's Your Last. Just a few years later, serious film. We got the tone. We nailed the tone to where nobody was laughing at it. Everyone was very invested in it. And that was the one where we even had like one lady do a standing ovation at the end, which like meant the world to us that someone would do that.
With Like It's Your Last, you realize, oh, we can do a lot more with a lot less by letting these like little moments with actors. Because we had an ensemble cast, you can only spend a little time with each actor, not much dialogue in that movie at all. And then we also gave moments for the audience to laugh, like the guy drinking a beer on his roof. So we gave the audience some outlets, but then reined them back in when we needed to. Because there's a lot of funny in that movie.
We had some actors that were like definitely really good actors, but we had a lot of people in that film that are not actors and not even in the film business.
That was one of my first like real visual effects thing at the end of that film with the meteor coming. It was very simple, but I think we knew how to stick a landing. We like to create that end moment.
I DP'd PhotoJenic.
That's right.
Jim and Dave wrote it, but by the time we got to Like It's Your Last, we had people in the right roles.
Only twice have we not had a film in competition because of not being on time or being late. The first was Life Lessons. We started running out of time in post-production and actually hadn't listened to the audio mix before exporting it. And the audio guy we used that year, he was younger and we weren't really keeping tabs on him. He's like, wait, and we're like, we gotta export it. And the way he was mixing was very odd, but everything was like pushed to clipping. So we know we've delivered the final, and then we sat down and for the first time watched the cut, and we're all just kind of like, oh no. And the Baltimore 48, you have the option to submit like a improved cut, but you take yourself out of consideration for awards. And that was a tough decision to make, but we just said, this is like unwatchable, and we want to do right by the actors and give them something to watch. We said, take us out of competition. We worked on it that night, and then the next night, and I think 2 days later, we were able to deliver the film.
It was watchable. It was unlistenable.
The second time we didn't finish on time was last Friday in April. 2 of our producers were out of town. Well, you were there, but I was kind of like self-managing my own time. We started late getting out the door, but then we hit some traffic. Eric, the writer, he jumped out of my car and he raced down the streets to DC to turn in, and the doors literally like closed in his face. Like he was like 10 seconds from being through. We won audience favorite. It's the only award you're eligible for if you're late. You can feel they had that vibe of like, oh, last Friday in April, like this would have gone, all the way.
But here's the thing, because we didn't get it in on time. A month later, or a month and a half later, we were like, you know what, we got to redeem ourselves. So we did the Baltimore 48 that year with Doug in another comedy, and that's when we won the city. Went to Filmapalooza. Doug won Best Actor. We got in the top 15. Got to go to Cannes, and Brian got to go to Cannes. So I don't think we ever would have made that film if we hadn't failed at Last Friday in April.
And I still like Last Friday in April quite a lot. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. We've since made a sequel that was not during a film race.
It might feel a little bit rough that you spent all that time and your movie is kind of like cringy, but you've learned, you can look back on it, and it's just kind of fun to have. So I would just say don't get too discouraged and just try again. Well, thanks for watching. If you haven't, please consider subscribing, and we will see you next time on the Film Race series.
Bye.